Steve has just alluded to it, but what are we doing? What's our topic for this section of time at youth? Fruit of the Spirit. Can anybody remember what the last fruit was? Orange. Joy from this corner. Dominic's still giggling. We did joy, which was Lucy last time, and then I spoke the time before that, introducing the fruit. But today, I want to talk about peace. But before we do, I'm just going to quickly read the verse again to remind us of what the verse was. So it was Galatians 5, 22 and 23, which is somewhere down here. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance. Good word. Kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. And what we're going to do is, I'm just going to read you a really quick story from the book of Matthew, in Matthew 8, 23 to 27. And I'm going to find it right now. Here we go. Then he, Jesus, got into the boat, and his disciples followed him. Suddenly, a furious storm came up on the lake, so that the waves swept over the boat. But Jesus was sleeping. I always thought that was a bit weird. The disciples went and woke him, saying, Lord, save us, we're going to drown. And he replied, you of little faith, why are you so afraid? Then he got up and rebuked the wind and the waves, and it was completely calm. The men were amazed and asked, what kind of man is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him. So my talk tonight, just quickly, I've only got a few minutes, so my talk tonight is about peace, which is something I think is really important, and a lot of people, I believe, don't have peace. But what kind of things come to mind if I say the word peace? What kind of things come to mind? Maybe things outside.
Peace be with you.
Peace be with you.
Catholic school.
Catholic school, very good school, excellent. Anything else? Okay. What about images? What images come to mind? Cake.
A dove.
Cake. A dove? Interesting. That is a weird one. Why a dove? Catholic school. Okay. Okay. But what images come to mind? So we had a dove.
Calm sea.
A calm sea. What about the beach? About the beach? The beach is calming. Sunset. I love sunsets. There's a really nice place near our house where the sunset is really nice, isn't it? You see the stars and things. What else? That's quite peaceful. What else? Let's give us one more. Give us one more.
Classical music.
Classical music. Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. That is good. How often do you listen to classic FM?
Maybe once or twice every century.
Every century. So, once so far. 0.5. So, we always think of, when I think of peace, my natural thing is to go for things outside. So what I've started doing when I've been writing my essays for university and doing all my hard work, I've been listening to waves in the ocean. It's like a really weird thing that I've started doing, but it really helps. It just helps me concentrate. Do you do that?
And whale noises.
And whale, that's totally what Lucy said. Lucy totally said that. And I was like, what? I'm going to try that. But I listen to ocean waves, turn it on so it feels like I'm actually there, and it just helps me concentrate. There's something really peaceful about the ocean and rivers and sunsets and classic FM. And I always think, every time I heard the word peace, I always think of a place or somewhere that's completely still, or still water, or something really calm. But actually, the Bible talks about a peace that you can't see. When the Bible talks about peace, it talks about one that is not outside, it's not in a river, it's not in an ocean or in Wales, not the country. But it talks about a peace that you have inside. Has anybody ever been camping? 2, 3, oh come on, campers. Happy campers. Have you ever been camping when there's a really great thing about camping, and it's sort of good and it's sort of bad at the same time, but you're in your tent at night and all of a sudden just absolutely starts chucking it down. And at first it sounds like a bear is about to come in, and then you realise about 10 seconds later, actually, no, it's just rain, and it sounds 100 times worse than it does in the house. But there's something really odd about rain outside when you're in a tent or in a caravan, and there's something really peaceful about it, isn't it? Isn't it weird? You get snuggled up in your sleeping bag on your own.
No.
In your sleeping bag. And there's something really weird about it, because outside it's horrible, and the wind is howling and the rain is pouring down, and if you were outside it'd be terrible. But for some reason, when you're inside, there's something really peaceful about it, isn't there? There was a thunderstorm. Lucy's brother has got a caravan somewhere up there, doesn't he? Somewhere that way. And we went the other week. We went with them the other week, and there was the biggest thunderstorm you'd ever seen, right? And I was like, oh, that is so cool. But when you're inside, there's something really calming about knowing that you're in a bit of a safe place. Even though there's a storm outside, there's something peaceful inside. And that's my first point that I wanted to make tonight, is that when I'm talking about peace, I'm not talking about somewhere out there where everything's perfect and the world has no wars and nobody's fighting, nobody's arguing. I'm talking about a peace that's in here, despite everything else that's going on. It's good. So, some storms that we might face that are outside might be some things like exams. I hated exams at school, and actually I considered it to be a storm, because I absolutely hated it. And I wasn't very good. I've got better as time's gone on now. We're at Bible college and things, but I really felt like there was something really hard about it. Well, obviously there's something really hard about exams, but it felt like a bit of a storm. Maybe a storm is like your home life. Maybe a storm is like, actually, being at home is really difficult right now. That could be a storm. Maybe you're going out with somebody and it's going a bit rough. Maybe that could be a storm. Maybe you're worried about your image. Maybe you're worried about what people think about you. Maybe you're having a hard time at school. Maybe you've got some teachers who are being a bit unfair to you. These are all storms that are outside. But what I want to say to you tonight is, while you have storms outside, you have an opportunity to have peace inside. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can have all this stuff and the rain pounding on your tent outside, but actually inside, you can be the most peaceful you've ever been in your life. I've had storms. I've had some bad things happen to me, believe it or not, as with everybody. And it's happening again! That's Will's taping. Terrible. I've had storms. I've had lights fall on me. I've had bad things happen in my life, and I've had big decisions that I've had to make that make me feel uneasy. And it was only when I drew close to God in those storms, in those hard decisions, in those exams, did I feel a peace inside. And that's my second point. So my first point was that it's not outside peace, it's inside peace. And my second point is that this peace only comes when you draw near to God. That's it. There is no other way around it.
Yeah.
Christ is enough. There's nothing else that can satisfy me. Maybe you can, but I doubt it. Nothing else can satisfy me. Only Christ is enough. And He is the one who puts the peace inside me. How can we draw close to God then? Just quickly. So we can pray, which are all the standard answers, isn't it? And it gets a bit boring after a while. But actually, I've found in my life, times when I've prayed and times when I haven't, I found a massive difference in who I actually am and the way I conduct myself and the peace that I have inside. Because I can let the storm in, or I can draw close to God and have peace in here. I always say this as well. You say, pray and make sure you read the Bible, right? How many times have you heard that? Okay? But I can't say it enough. Jesus in the Bible is God. And when you read the Bible, you get to know God because you see what Jesus is doing. Jesus came to earth to show us what God is like. That's the point. That's the point why Jesus came. He came to show us, look, this is God. This is who I am. Here's my character. I love people. People are my children. And I care for the people who are poor and weak. So when we read the Bible, it's not just read the Bible because it's a good thing to do when you're a Christian. Actually, read the Bible because it tells you who God is. If you're like a Christian, I was a Christian in my teens and I was like, oh, this is so hard. I feel like I'm not close to God. I don't know how to get close to God. And actually, it was sitting right in front of me the whole time. Actually, God is here and God is speaking to me through this book. God is telling me who he is, and through this I can get close to him. My third point is in a different part of the Bible. It's in Philippians. I'm just going to read you this verse. This is a great verse. It's in Philippians 4, 6 and 7. Let me find it. Do not be anxious about anything. Wow. That's me out. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. That's the first verse, and I can't stress that enough. When I've prayed about things, God does answer your prayer. He might not always answer you in the way that you want, but he does always answer your prayer. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts, your minds, in Jesus Christ. The third point from that verse is what I want to stress is that God is in control. So peace is not outside, it's inside. When you draw close to God, you get this peace. And my last third point is know that God is in control. You know, when this story that I read at the beginning, I always thought it was weird that Jesus was a bit angry, right? Because what the disciples did was like, Jesus, there's a big storm and we're coming to you for help. And he's like, you idiots! And I was like, that's really weird, isn't it? Because they're coming to him for help. Surely he would be like, well done. Come to me instead of jumping overboard. But actually he's angry. And I always thought that's really odd. Like, why is Jesus angry?
We woke up from sleep.
I was having a great dream! Damn it.
It was 2 in the morning.
It was 2 in the morning, yeah. It probably was. I always thought it was weird he was sleeping anyway. A bit odd. But I was like, why? Why is he angry about that? Why is he angry that his disciples came to him for help? Because there's a storm? I thought that would be great. I thought he'd love that. But actually they missed the point, didn't they? They missed the point because they were worried and they were anxious. And actually the point that they missed was that yes, there's a storm, but Jesus is still in control. That's why he was a bit, you're still not getting it, are you? Actually, yeah, there's massive wind and waves coming over the boat, but why are you worrying? I'm not worrying. I'm asleep. Come and chill out with me. Actually, you don't need to worry because I'm in control. That's why he says that you've got little faith. Because actually, you're not getting the point, disciples. You're not getting the actual whole point of this is that I'm in control. And they're amazed at the end. They're like, who is this guy? They've been with him like for ages. And like, who is this guy that controls the wind and the waves? And it's Jesus. And the only way we can have peace is to draw close to him and understand that he is in control, no matter what storm you're going through right now. Because I guarantee every single person in this room has got something on their mind right now. You can all think of at least one thing that is absolutely horrific and you dread every day and you worry about every day and it occupies your mind. And actually what you really need to know, what you really need to grasp like the disciples grasped, is that God is still in control.
Yeah.
And he will never not be in control. You have little faith. Don't be worried. Don't be anxious. But by prayer and petition, present your request to God. Never stop praying for things. Never ever stop praying. I know people who have prayed for me every single day of my life when I've grown up. I know people who have prayed for things that seem horrific and it seems no way out. But actually, by prayer and petition, they presented their request to God and God has heard their cry. God is always in control. So I've got 3 questions for you to end. Have you got a storm? And I think the answer is yes to that, because I think everyone does. And do you pray about it? And do you know that God is in control? Because he is. Let's pray. God, we want to thank you for today. God, I want to thank you for this youth group. I want to thank you for everyone here. I want to thank you that you love us and that you call us a son and a daughter. God, I want to thank you that you are in control of everything. God, of all our situations, God. And I want to thank you that even when we're in the middle of terrible storms outside, God, that you promise us peace as long as we come to you. God, let us draw near to you more and more every day. God, let us push into you as every day of this week goes by. I want to thank you for today. I want to thank you that you're always there for us as well. In Jesus' name.